A former Chiefs corner just put the Giants on the clock. First, there is value chatter. Then, the schedule exposes the depth issue. And then, the one that changes everything. New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago are all connected to the same defensive back. By the end, you will know if Big Blue should chase or walk away. Lock in. Here is the quick headline before we unpack it. The Giants already met with a former Chiefs cornerback. That same corner also met with the Eagles, and now he is scheduled to visit the Bears. That is not quiet homework anymore. That is a race. Real talk before we dive in. Eagles fans love acting like this division belongs to them. Cowboys fans never stop talking. Commanders fans think every roster move is a revolution. But this channel is by Big Blue, for Big Blue. If you want Giants Daily to be the loudest G-Men room on YouTube, hit subscribe right now. Every sub is a flag planted at MetLife Stadium. Comment, "Let's go Giants," so the rivals see who runs this room. Now let's start smaller, because the first clue matters. The cornerback chase is not happening in isolation. New York is still being linked to value moves across the roster, and that tells me the front office is not done shaping this team around Jaxson Dart. Breaking news from the roster conversation. The Giants are still being linked to value moves, including chatter around another free agent weapon as an underrated fit. No name has been confirmed in this brief, so we are not inventing one. But the angle is clear. New York is still scanning the market. And that matters. This is not the behavior of a front office that thinks the roster is finished. This is the behavior of a front office that knows the margins are where seasons turn. One veteran fit here. One depth decision there. One smart addition before the season picture becomes fully clear. The key phrase is underrated fit. That tells you the Giants are not only shopping for headline names. They are also looking at players who fit a role, fit a need, and fit the larger plan. With Jaxson Dart as the starting quarterback, every roster move has to be judged through one lens. Does it make life cleaner for the quarterback, the defense, or the coaching staff? That is why this value chatter connects to everything else in this video. A free agent weapon would speak to support. A veteran corner would speak to protection. The schedule pressure speaks to survival. Put those together, and you see a team trying to tighten the edges before the real collisions arrive. Now, here is the truth nobody's telling you. Value moves are not boring when the roster has specific pressure points. They are boring only when fans want fireworks for the sake of fireworks. Big Blue does not need empty noise. Big Blue needs useful football players. Personal opinion here, I think the Giants are right to keep digging in the value market. Not because every link will become a signing, but because this roster still needs optionality. If you stop looking too early, you let the Eagles, Cowboys, and Commanders control the board. That is my read. Disagree? Drop your reasoning below. And here is where the first clue becomes bigger. If New York is checking value fits on offense, and also exploring cornerback help on defense, that tells me the front office sees the same thing we see. This team is not one move away, but it is also not standing still. That is the difference between watching any channel and watching this one. We are not just saying, the Giants were linked to someone. We are decoding what the link means. But wait, because story 2 raises the stakes. The schedule is not just a list of games. It is pressure. And if the Giants are still exploring defensive depth, the schedule explains why. Now, what most channels miss is this. Roster depth is not judged in a vacuum. It is judged against the teams on the schedule, the matchups in the division, and the stress points that show up when injuries, rotations, and game plans start stacking. The supporting angle in the brief is direct. The Giants' schedule raises the pressure on defensive depth. That is the second story, and it is bigger than it sounds. Why? Because cornerback depth is not a luxury in this division. The Eagles force you to cover space and survive explosive stretches. The Cowboys always turn every matchup into a national argument. The Commanders are not going to sit politely and let Big Blue breathe. If your secondary gets thin, the entire defense feels it. This is where John Harbaugh's staff has to think beyond the starting lineup. Fans love arguing about the top names, but coaches live in the middle of the roster. Who is the next man up? Who can play a role? Who can hold up when a game plan changes? Who can survive when the matchup stops being clean? That is why a former Chiefs corner meeting with the Giants matters. It is not only about whether he becomes a starter. It is about whether New York wants another veteran option before the season picture becomes sharper. The schedule adds urgency. If the Giants wait too long, the market does not wait with them. A player can meet with New York, meet with Philadelphia, and then head to Chicago. That is exactly the situation here. Once multiple teams are involved, doing homework can turn into missed opportunity very fast. Film does not lie. Depth gets exposed when the opponent knows where the soft spot is. That is chess, not checkers. If the Giants believe this corner can cover a role, waiting becomes a gamble. I'll say it, and I know some Big Blue fans will push back. In my opinion, defensive depth is the most underrated roster priority for the Giants right now. Not the loudest, not the flashiest, the most underrated. The schedule pressure makes that obvious. Tell me I'm wrong. Now I want your take. Comment chase if the Giants should chase this former Chiefs corner. Comment pass if you think they should walk away. No middle ground. Make me defend my position. Quick reminder, if you made it this far, you are Big Blue. Hit subscribe, because story 3 is the real race. And now we get to the one I teased at the start. The one that turns this from normal roster monitoring into a direct competition. New York is not alone. Philadelphia is involved. Chicago is next. This is where the room changes. Now, what you have really been waiting for. The story that flips the conversation. The Giants have already met with a former Chiefs cornerback, and that would be interesting by itself. But that is not the whole story. This defensive back has also met with the Eagles. And now, he is scheduled to visit the Bears. That means the Giants are not just evaluating a player. They are sitting inside a multi-team competition with a division rival already in the picture. That is the late reveal, and it matters because of who is involved. If this were only New York taking a quiet look, you could call it routine homework. Teams meet with players all the time. But once the Eagles are part of it, the temperature changes. Once the Bears are next, the clock starts moving. This is no longer a private evaluation. This is a market. The brief gives us the core question. Are the Giants doing homework, or are they seriously considering adding another corner before the season picture comes into focus? My answer is blunt. They are doing both. Good teams do homework, so they are ready to move. Bad teams do homework after the opportunity is gone. Now connect this to the first two stories. The free agent weapon chatter showed New York is still looking for value across the roster. The schedule pressure showed why defensive depth matters. This former Chiefs corner story brings both ideas together, value plus urgency. And the Eagles connection is the part Big Blue cannot ignore. If Philadelphia meets with a defensive back, that does not automatically mean the player is great. We are not pretending that. But it does mean the Giants have real information to process. A division rival looked. New York looked. Chicago is next. That sequence creates pressure. The Giants may need to decide quickly if they want to add veteran depth to the secondary. That phrase is the heart of the whole video. Not panic. Not overpay. Not chase blindly. Decide quickly. There is a difference. A quick decision means the front office knows its valuation. It means John Harbaugh and the staff know whether this corner fits the defensive plan. It means the Giants know whether the player gives them something they do not already have. A slow decision means the Bears' visit happens, the market shifts, and New York ends up reacting instead of leading. That is the trap. The best front offices do not react to rival interest. They already know their answer. And let's talk about the Chiefs part. This player is a former Chiefs corner, which means fans are going to attach assumptions to the helmet. Do not do that. The helmet is not the evaluation. The role is the evaluation. The Giants have to decide if the player fits what they need in their secondary, not what fans remember from another roster. That is why this is a real test of process. If the Giants like him, move with conviction. If they do not, walk away with conviction. The worst outcome is hovering in the middle while Philadelphia and Chicago help define the market. Here is my strongest opinion of the video. I'm going on record. If the Giants genuinely believe this former Chiefs corner can be useful veteran depth, they should not let the Eagles and Bears turn this into a waiting game. Big Blue cannot preach New York tough and then act passive when a division rival is in the same lane. Convince me I'm wrong. I'm listening. And now you have your answer to the question I asked earlier. Drop, chase, or pass in the comments. Do you want the Giants to pursue this corner, or should they walk away before the market heats up? If this analysis hit, like the video. That is how we keep the algorithm pushing real Giants breakdowns, not lazy national noise. 3 stories. 1 picture. Here is what it all means together. The Giants are not done searching. The value chatter tells us they are still monitoring fits across the roster. The schedule pressure tells us depth is not optional. The former Chiefs corner meeting tells us the secondary is still on the radar. That is the thesis. Big Blue is trying to stay flexible before the season picture fully forms. This is where the Eagles' comparison matters. Philadelphia being involved does not force the Giants to sign anyone, but it does force New York to be honest. If the player fits, do not lose him because you waited. If he does not fit, do not chase him because the Eagles took a meeting. Discipline cuts both ways. The Cowboys and Commanders are watching the same division board. Every edge matters. Every depth decision matters. Every role player becomes important when the schedule starts attacking your weak spots. Listen, the next breakdown is going straight into how this cornerback chase connects to the Giants' secondary depth plan, and what kind of veteran addition would actually make sense for Big Blue. If you are New York tough for real, subscribe now and hit the bell so YouTube puts that video in front of you. Drop your final answer below. Chase or pass? I want the whole Big Blue Nation on record. But listen closely. One decision is still pending. The front office has not made the final call on whether this former Chiefs corner is just a workout board name or a real target before the season picture comes into focus. That answer changes the entire tone of this story, and the external pressure is obvious. The Eagles already met with him. The Bears are next. If New York wants in, the Giants cannot pretend the market is frozen. So now we wait for the next domino. Does Big Blue move with conviction, or does another team turn interest into action first? G-Men, the battle is here. MetLife Stadium energy starts in this comment section. Subscribe, stay locked, drop your final chase or pass, and let's go Giants. We ride together.